Hello, everyone. Welcome to this new IG Live with Susanne. Last week we talked about beliefs that can pull us back. And if you remember, a belief is something that we believe is true without fact. Like, I believe I can perform this role, or I believe I'm a great dancer, I'm a great jumper, I'm a great turner. So today we wanted to talk about mindset. So I'm going to invite over Susanne. Hello.
Hi, sweetheart. How are you?
Good. I love when the live works.
Okay, I'm just no filter today.
No
There we
filter?
go.
Oh my
No
gosh.
filter.
Woo.
There you
I am
go.
so proud of you.
Yes. All natural. How are
I
you?
love I love to see your natural self.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank
you're
you.
beautiful.
Okay. Yeah. Right back at you.
Well,
Okay, we're talking mindset today. Growth
well,
mindset.
you're beautiful.
Okay, let's talk growth mindset. Hit me with it.
Well, do you actually know who theorized the growth mindset?
So, I have a suspicion.
Yeah,
It's just because she is Carol Dweck.
it will be. Maybe there was someone else before, but we
Well, yeah,
attribute it to her.
but the
Her and her
public
team.
knows it's her. Yeah.
So Carol Dweck is a Stanford psychotherapist or psychologist. Let me double check. Psychologist. So her and her team were interested in students' attitudes towards failure, and that's when they theorized fixed mindset and growth mindset. And maybe to make it easier for everyone to understand what we're talking about, I was thinking maybe we can take an example from the ballet world so that we can get practical sense out of it. What do you think of that?
Love it. I'm just answering a question here really quickly.
Go ahead.
Do you see there is a question from Louisa Rose?
Oh, yes.
Why don't we do that first? Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Because I them too. How do you stop judging and comparing yourself to others in a negative way? Oh, that's a big one. Well, do you want to get a stab at it or you want me to start?
Stop. I'll think about it while you start.
Thanks. All right, Louisa, thank you so much for asking that question. That, particularly in the dance world, is such a huge issue that we compare ourselves all the time. And I have to say, we're also comparing ourselves not only to others, but to ourselves in the mirror very often, to that version that we really want to see to versus what we actually are seeing. So how do we stop that? Well, the first step I would say is actually being aware of what it does to you. The comparison train can lead into so many deep, dark holes of unworthiness and being actually paralyzed in being able to perform, that it is so important that first having the awareness and then understanding that why are you comparing yourself? Like, why is it that you look at others to point out what you can't do or what they can do better than you can? So from that perspective, it has everything to do with self-love and worthiness and knowing what your superpowers are and your self-acceptance. So as soon as you start looking at yourself in a loving way, in a way that isn't destroying your abilities, but really focusing on your superpowers. And I'm not talking about, are you a good turner or a good jumper? I'm talking about your superpowers as a human being. Like, what are you great at as a human being? And being aware of that and being okay that we're not everything. This is why community is so important, right? This is why we're talking here today.
Yep.
So find your self-worth. That is your first, the second step, I would say, that goes that way. Like really having that built into your day every day, because again, it's another muscle that also needs to be built up.
I would agree that's definitely the first step, because without that, you cannot implement what I would suggest next, which is to train your inner voice, the one that says, oh my God, they can do all of this. I'm so stupid. I'm so bad, or whatever it is that you say to yourself. Change that inner voice for, oh, I love what they're doing. I'd love to be able to do that. Let me see how I can do that. And use whatever you see that was triggering those negative thoughts, which is usually something that we would like to have, and use that as a drive towards your goal rather than something that you can never achieve. Because if you tell yourself you'll never achieve it, and that's actually the topic for today, then you'll never achieve it. That's for sure. But if you start telling yourself, okay, I love that. Maybe also one thing that can help is telling yourself that someone else's success doesn't take away anything from yours.
That's so good. Yes, exactly. Somebody else thriving doesn't mean you can't, because we all can rise together. Like, no matter how good that girl next to you is, you can be great too in your own way, and accepting that you don't have to fit in a box to be successful. Like, success is not defined in just one way, right? There are so many other ways we can define success. That is for you is important.
That also goes in growth mindset. How do you define success?
Okay. How did we do? Did we answer your question?
So I wanted to, Louisa, tell us if that was sufficient answer. Otherwise, we'll get back to that. I wanted to use an example, which is a very simple belief. So going back to the belief we talked about last week, I believe I can perform this role. So for example, you know yourself, you know your capabilities, you know what's coming up in the season, and you believe you are capable of being cast. And to add to the example, let's say that you're getting a lot of positive feedback recently. So, you know, you start to think, okay, this time it's my turn. But then the cast list goes up and, well, your name is not there. So first you're sad, you're upset, which is normal and understandable. And that period will last a couple of hours, a couple of days, a couple of weeks, depending on the people. Mindset will be what happens in the long run. So I wanted to use that example and describe two extremes, bearing in mind that those are just extreme of a spectrum. Nobody is 100% this and 100% that. We're a bit of a mixed, and it depends on the days and the hours. Sometimes we're more there, sometimes we're more there. So those are just extreme to understand the concept behind that. So on one extreme, well, some of us will completely lose the dream about this goal. We'll just decide that, well, you know what, it's not for me. This decision of not putting me in the cast is the proof that I am not capable for that role. And you'll start thinking that you need to reduce your ambitions. You will start reducing your goals, and you will stop pushing your limits. But bear in mind, you can be happy with that, because happiness has nothing to do with fixed mindset or growth mindset. We can be very happy with a fixed mindset. We can be extremely miserable with a growth mindset. Bear that in mind. On the other end of the spectrum, you will have someone that decide that, well, okay, I didn't get the role, but I'll work more and better. I'll ask around feedback to understand what should I do to get the next role that I am hoping for, and work towards showing whatever it is that I'm being told that I need to demonstrate to be able to get the role. I may or may not get the role. That depends on so many other factors, but I'll improve. That's for sure. Because I keep pushing my limits, I keep learning, I keep asking feedback. So I will improve. Maybe not my technique, but something will improve. Maybe my health, maybe my well-being, so many things. But I'll move forward. Does that make sense?
Well, it makes sense to me, absolutely. And no answer, you know, and no just means not yet, or it just doesn't work at this very moment. That means it has nothing to do with one's core ability as a human being, but it is about, okay, how can I react to the situation? How can I actually move it from this is happening to me to this is happening for me?
Yes.
Because improvement will always come. And can we can we just move this into like the ballet world? I'm going to move my phone here a little
Yes.
bit. Where the expectation is around perfectionism,
Mm-hmm.
you know, being perfect all the time. Like even if you're at your lowest, why are you not
Yep.
performing at the highest level? And that kind of thinking or that kind of mentality actually inhibits the growth mindset mentality.
Definitely. Yeah.
Right? Where, well, if I have to be perfect, there is no room for growth anyway. So I'm just gonna not even start thinking that way at all, because what for? So I believe that the first step is actually to and I'm just putting steps into place right now,
Mm-hmm.
would be to understand there is no such thing as perfection, that we all at every single given point in life, growing, evolving, or if you're choosing not to, you're standing still. But we'll never get there.
Yep.
Because there is going to change over and over and over again. So having that growth mindset will only make it so much easier to find different paths, because not just one way will lead to your definition of success or to the role or the I don't know, contract in a company that you want, but there are many ways that you get there. But you only will find the you will only find the path if you stay open to receiving them and to seeing them.
Definitely.
Oh, will this be saved? Would love to come back to the discussion again. Absolutely, yes.
Yes, it will.
We will find it on both of our pages. Thanks, guys. This is great feedback. I love it.
Love it.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, I was working in the nuclear industry before, and a lot of those things are things I learned there, because the growth mindset is nurtured. One thing that we used to say is, don't aim for perfection, but strive for excellence. And the difference that it makes when you hear that is that you're not looking for a final product, finished, polished, everything is beautiful. You're looking at a process that keeps improving and going further. So, of course, you're looking at the least amount of mistakes, the smallest mistakes, but every time something happened that wasn't planned, that wasn't exactly what you were looking for, like this little trip at the end of your pirouette, instead of seeing it like a failure, a mistake, and, well, then what, you see it as, okay, what did I do? What happened? What happened that made that happen? What can I do differently next time? And every time this happens, you gather an amount of knowledge about everything that happens in your body every time you do this or you do that or you do this, or depending on how you feel this day, that you understand, okay, when I feel like this, these are the kind of results I get. Well, this is how you actually get better faster, because you understand and you make sense of all of that. And that's the foundation of the growth mindset, is to understand that nothing is fixed. Your intelligence and your capacities and your skills are something that you'll grow. And other science are actually going in the same direction, especially brain science is showing how plastic is the brain. And what that means is every time you practice something, you create neural networks, neural connections between your neurons, right, which makes your practice easier and better. And then the more you practice, the easier it gets, the better it gets. And then you start learning new things, etc., etc. So it's exactly the same thing. So as you said, if we're looking for perfection and we're not even trying because it's not going to be perfect, then you're preventing this from happening.
Perfect. I don't think I have to add to this. It's the ability to learn and to stay open to learning, and that it doesn't make you a worse dancer or your capacity isn't there. Your capacity is what you want it to be. Like, it's your hands, it's your choice. It is, in ballet, we don't really value, or in dance everywhere in that industry, the work the mind is actually capable of. And can actually help us to become our very best dancer. I'm going to take myself as an example. I was a very fixed mindseted dancer, scared shitless all the time, didn't believe in myself. I put all of my worth into the people that were sitting in front of me and stood behind me. And I never believed in myself. And I thought that was the way it should be. And only now, through all of this kind of work and the knowledge around mindset and how our brain works and neuroplasticity, am I coming to the conclusion, my gosh, who could I have been with all of this knowledge, or even parts of it way back then? And that's where it is so important to understand that being a dancer, being a performing artist, does not only entail your body capacities or your ability to move your body and how many muscles you have and how many pirouettes you can do. It is so much more up in your brain and the ability to have awareness of what steps have to happen in order for me to get to where I want to go, and how flexible you are in your thinking. Yeah.
I also wanted to go even further in what you're saying. Being a great dancer is not just about how you perform on stage, because you're working in a company, you're working with other people. And you probably know also endless examples of people who have been promoted, who have not been promoted because of other factors than their dancing skills. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know, but the thing is, the world is the way it is right now, and all of these people skills, communication skills, how you behave with other people, how you handle certain situations, even just like yourself, how you handle it. Like I've seen people getting so upset because their name was not on the cast list. Well, people were in the corridor, didn't really appreciate that. You know, they didn't say anything to anyone. It was just seeing it. They're like, it's a bit bitter. Why are you so mad? So yeah, it goes way further than just being able to do the movement.
Oh, absolutely. There are so many more parts, but we're not really putting on these other moving parts because we have yet to learn what kind of importance that actually really they play in being a well-rounded artist.
Well-rounded artist. I love that.
Let's talk about nurturing a growth mindset. How
Well,
do you practice it, or how do you maybe encourage yourself to really stay into that growth mindset phase?
I would say the first thing is to always remind yourself of what it takes to create a growth mindset, because to nurture it, it's the same as creating it. So once you remind yourself that nothing is fixed, that the process of learning is as much, if not more, important than knowing, then you can start implementing strategies to remain on that path. So I would say the first one for me is to embrace the malleability of your capabilities. So a little bit like what Stephanie said in her last Raise the Bar, say no to labels and stereotypes. So for example, I know that very often, very young, we tend to be told that we're good jumpers, we're good turners, or we're not. Because you're petite, you're not going to be able to do that, etc., etc. And that sticks to our mind, especially if we hear it when we're young and we don't have enough baggage to actually put that into perspective. One thing that I like to do that is to look for examples that negate this label or this stereotype. So if, for example, you're a petite dancer who's been told that you'll never be able to jump, well, look at Osipova. I mean, she's not petite, but she's not a tall dancer. She's a great jumper. And start to look at, and there are plenty of examples that are the opposite of that label, of that stereotype, that can help you kill that inner voice that says you can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
If
Yes.
they can, then there's no reason for you not to be able to. Then I would say keep in mind that your capabilities do not define you. So whatever you can or cannot do today is not who you are. Rather, if you cannot do something, it's just because you've not found the right strategy for you that works for you yet. So
Yeah.
how do you do that? You turn that into, big smile, an opportunity to learn what's the strategy that works for me. Instead of beating yourself up like, I can't do it. It's not working.
Right.
Let's go and discover what works. Let's try. And then you try, you get feedback, try something else, you get feedback. This works, keep trying. If it works all the time, then you're in the right direction. That would be my first one, is to have strategies that are towards growing and learning.
And so for me, I would then the next step for me would be awareness, like being really aware of where your thoughts are going. Like, do you have thoughts, oh, I can't do this, I can't do this, because they sneak in really quickly, and they can overtake your entire being really, really quickly without even us being aware of that's happening. So awareness is such an important key in really nurturing that growth mindset, so that when these thoughts are coming, and they will come, like that is a guarantee, that we can interject and either find examples of, well, but no, this is what I experienced otherwise, and here I'll show you. Or you just have a different conversation with yourself. Some people there are theories out there that they're interrupting, like they either snap their fingers, they clap their hands, or they have like little goop bands around their wrists, and say reframe or restructure or rethink or rename, and then just give yourself that permission. Or this, like, there's no different things. I needed to clap my hands because I needed, like, the voice to snap my
okay.
That's how I work. But that's, again, that's just awareness that will come by the time you actually have gotten to the point that having a growth mindset is actually really profiting you as a dancer, as an artist, as a human being. Yeah.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
And for me, that would be the next step.
Yeah.
Just practicing. Because the more you practice that growth mindset, the better you get at it. So the more you practice it, and the better you get at it, and the more you practice it, and the better you get at it, and you start enjoying it. And those moments of negativity become less and less frequent. They are less and less prolonged, and it gets easier to bounce back. And that's where you get in a resilient mode, where any setback, any difficulty doesn't get you in that funk for too long. Of course, you're going to get there. Everybody gets there. Resilience is not about being happy all the time and, being just like everything is a mess around me, but it's okay, I'm smiling. No, it's not that. It's just the ability to move from that sad moment into something else very quickly. And that's what we're looking for here. It's just, it's just taking in that setback, not getting too low into our, some kind of depression or sadness, and then being able to move forward very quickly.
I think we have our topic for resilience, and resilience, what does that really mean? And how is it misused, particularly in the dance and ballet world?
I wanted to add one point for growth mindset, because we tend to forget, but it is quite important. Good nutrition and sleep habits is key.
Yeah.
And it's a cycle, because if you're not feeling well, it's hard to sleep well, and you sometimes don't want to eat very well. So there is an effort to be made to eat better and sleep better at first, to create that virtuous cycle.
I'm going to add, it's also your inner circle, like the people that are on your island. if they are energy sucking, really, really hard for you to keep that growth mindset, because you will be shrinking back to who they are and what they're doing. So the people around you are imperative for you to determine whether or not you're nurturing your growth mindset or are you actually playing against it.
Yeah, your inner circle and teacher. I think it would be great to include this kind of training in ballet teaching training, because, for example, from Carol's Dweck work, we know that saying things like, oh, you're smart, you're talented, is actually, and we think that it's helping motivation. Like, there's no reason why we're saying that, thinking it's a bad thing. If we do that, it's because we believe it's a good thing. But the research is now showing that actually it nurture a fixed mindset, because it nurture the, I have that capability, it's there, it's fixed.
Yeah, perfect. I love it. Yeah.
And I know a lot of teachers were really great and so many things, amazing teacher, but they do say those kind of things quite a lot because they think it's a great thing to do. So if you share that fantastic knowledge with them, they will for sure change and get even better results than they currently have. So like, sometimes I'm thinking, oh my God, they will be like the best teachers in the world for sure, if you know, if they get access to that knowledge.
Okay. Well, thank you. This was fun once again.
It's always fun.
Thank you everyone for watching. We really appreciate you taking the time to hopping in here. I know how full everybody's day is. I can only assume. And we will see you very soon again.
Yeah. So the next topic is resilience.
Yeah, let's talk about resilience.
I love how you're the boss.
Oh. No, I'm not the boss.
Yes, you are. Embrace it. I love it.
Don't need to be. Okay, guys. Mwah. Thanks, Sunny.
Thank you, everyone. See you soon.